Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Blair.
My name is Danielle Blair, and I am an assistant principal here at Brooke Mattapan Charter School. I just wanted to take a moment to welcome and to say thank you to everyone for coming out this morning. We are so excited to be joined this morning by our very own Governor Charlie Baker. Parents and students, let's give the governor one more really big round of applause. Before we begin, I just want to say a quick word about why we are here this morning. We are here today because of a state law that is shutting thousands of students out of great public charter schools. To me, the cap on public charter schools is deeply personal. Standing behind me are the 8th grade students from Brooke Mattapan Charter School. Because of the cap, these students are legally blocked from attending a Brooke high school. It breaks my heart to know that these students that we've educated from kindergarten all the way up until 8th grade will have to go somewhere else to high school just because of politics. In a few minutes, you will hear directly from Governor Baker on this issue. But before you hear from the governor, I want to first introduce 2 speakers from our Brooke family. Let's welcome Randy Mejia, an 8th grade student from Brooke Mattapan.
Good morning. My name is Randy Mejia, and I'm an 8th grader at Brooke Mattapan. When I first came to Brooke in the 5th grade, it was very challenging. At first, I thought math was something that was impossible, but because of Brooke, I feel like math is achievable. I feel confident this year, so I raised my hand and participate in every class discussion. As an 8th grader, this is the time of year where I had to start thinking about where I want to go for high school. I wish I had a Brooke High School option. But here's the problem. Right now, there's a cap on charter school seats that's keeping Brooke from getting a high school. And it's not fair to students like me. But I know that if I went to a Brooke High School, I will be prepared for college. If I can't go to a Brooke High School, I hope my little brothers, Renzo and Roger, that are currently in kindergarten and 3rd grade at Brooke. They deserve a great high school that will prepare them for college. I am excited that our governor is here standing up for us. I know he's going to fight for a Brooke High School so that families can get the schools that they want. Thank you, Governor, for standing up for kids like us.
Thank you, Randy. At this time, we are going to welcome one of our all-star parents from Brooke Rosendale. Please welcome Rodolfo Aguilar.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rodolfo Aguilar. I am originally from Guatemala. I came to Boston in 1976. I have 3 kids. 2 of them attend charter schools, Brooke Charter Schools. My daughter Ashley, who's in 4th grade. My son David, who's in 6th grade. Both of them love the school, Brooke Rosendale. We are very lucky as parents that our kids are going to Brooke Charter Schools. I'll tell you why. Because it's one of the best schools in the state. As parents, we are proud of their achievements. We're also proud that they can compete with any school in the state of Massachusetts, whether it's private or public. But as parents, we're stuck because unless the cap is lifted, we cannot add a high school. Unless the cap is lifted, our kids will have to go to another school. A school, they're gonna have to leave a school that they love. And that is not fair for our kids. It's not also fair for the 30,000 kids across the state of Massachusetts who right now sit on waiting lists for a chance for a great education. We all chose to send our kids to Brooke. It was a painful process. But we believe that income, race, zip code should not and never determine the quality of education your kids receive. We're so glad our governor shared this belief. Governor Baker, thank you for standing for us. And thank you for standing for the kids across the state, because they do deserve better than that. We're here today, and thank you for your support. We are rolling our sleeves as parents and work with the governor to lift the cap. I'm very emotional. Thank you for your support, and we will stand with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rodolfo. At this time, I now have the distinct pleasure of introducing our governor. He's a champion for our kids. He's committed to lifting the cap on charter schools, and we're so pleased to have him at our school today. Parents and students, again, let's give a warm welcome to Governor Charlie Baker.
Good morning. Let me start by thanking Randy and Rodolfo for those terrific remarks, and to put a very personal touch on what is a statewide policy concern. Now, I come to this from what I would describe as sort of three different points of view. I mean, one of the things that happens when you get older is you become an historian based on the stuff you see in your own lifetime. You kids, of course, you need to read and pay attention on that one. But I was around when the education reform law was passed in 1993. And there was a lot of chatter at the time about whether or not that law would make a difference, because there have been several education reform laws that have been passed previously that hadn't seemed to move the needle very much. But the combination of a foundation budget, state aid and support to make it happen, the curriculum frameworks, the standards, the MCAS, and all the elements around performance and accountability, along with this notion that we would create, in addition to all that, charter schools that would offer parents, especially in underperforming districts, an alternative for their kids, seemed to be a pretty good collection of elements to improve the quality of education in Massachusetts. Now, if you said to people in 1993 when that law passed, that 20 years later, Massachusetts, which at that point was somewhere in the middle on most of the national rankings and test scores, would be the only state in the country 20 years later to finish #1 in both the English and math sections of the National Education Assessment Exam, and that the Commonwealth would do it 5 times, they would have said, can't happen. If you'd said at that point in time that Massachusetts would have 40,000 kids in charter schools, and that many of those charter schools would be located in underperforming school districts, and that the vast majority of those schools would be among the highest performing schools in their class and in their communities in the Commonwealth, and some of them, in fact, are among the very best in the country, people would say, well, that's not going to happen either. One of the things we need to remember here is that education reform, those elements that people crafted back in the 1990s, have succeeded, and in many cases succeeded beyond anybody's expectations when that law was passed. But as I stand here today, there are 37,000 kids who want to get in to a charter school. 37,000 families who simply want what Rodolfo did such a fabulous job of speaking to, which is something bigger and better for their children. I also stand here as a public official as we propose this legislation today, which, among other things, would authorize the addition of 12 new schools or expansions annually outside the current cap of 120, and it would focus that growth on districts that are in the bottom 25% of state performance statewide. It would also give charter schools the ability to give special preference to students who are high-need students, so that charter schools could build on the success they've had through the traditional lottery process and serve kids with education complications and difficulties, as well as kids within particular geographic zones. It would also make it possible for charter schools to participate in a common open enrollment, similar to the one that's been discussed in Boston, and would also create opportunities for charter schools to partner, or for charter operators to partner with underperforming schools and underperforming school districts, and to take some of the tools and capabilities that they've brought to bear to those schools and those districts as well. And that's kind of the policy wonk part. But I also stand here as a dad. I have 3 kids. They're 24, 21, and 18. And my wife and I live in Swampscott. And we think our kids got a pretty good education. And there was nothing that was more important to us than that as they were growing up. Because we both got good educations. I grew up in Needham, my wife grew up in Connecticut and in Illinois. We went to good schools, and we benefited from that. Whenever I've been to a lottery, and it literally is a lottery with a bouncing ball, where you have hundreds of parents and kids holding on to a number, praying that over the course of that evening, their number's going to come up. Everybody at that lottery cries. Everybody. The folks who get into a charter school, they cry. And their parents cry. Because of the positive opportunity they believe that represents for them. And the people who don't get in, and there's a lot more of them, they cry too. And they cry because they think their kids aren't going to get something that's so fundamental to what you believe as a parent you want to give your children, which is a shot at a great education and a future. People have asked me many times, what's the right number of charter schools? I don't know the answer to that. But we have 37,000 families who simply want for their kids what everybody else wants, and for the most part gets here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for theirs, which is a shot at a great education and an opportunity on which to build a great future. So whether you look at the history of the past 20 years, which has been tremendously positive for many people here in the Commonwealth, education reform has been a big success. Or you think about it in terms of the policy proposition that we're making today, which is to simply provide an opportunity for many of those families that sit on the waiting list to have a shot and an opportunity to give their kids the kind of chance that they believe they deserve. Or you think about it as a parent, what you might want for your kids and how you've thought about their opportunity. You look at this through any one of those lenses, and this is a cause, as Rodolfo said, that's worth fighting for. And I can't think of anything I would want to be able to say as governor to Randy and his brothers got a chance to go to Oak Brook High School. Thank you very much. It's good to see you, Secretary Pfizer. Questions?